it's Blue. Today is a chatty one, and I just wanted to talk about like being lonely and why I think that it's actually a good thing. So while I yap about that, a speed paint of my OCs, Tristan and Ronnie, will be running in the background. So yay! And you can trust what I say about being lonely and everything because I am CEO of the company. So everything I say is 100% right and the unchallenged truth. So anyways, let's get right into it. So obviously I'm still pretty young, but I feel like the past few years of my life, like I've really learned truly how loneliness and feeling alone are different. They're incredibly different for me personally. So everything I'm talking about, all jokes aside, is just my personal experience. So if you feel differently, then that's fine. But I hope that anyone who is feeling lonely, can take some comfort from this, because I feel like, especially nowadays, it's a very prevailing feeling, like a feeling that is like very common amongst a lot of people, amongst a lot of young people. So that being said, I think a lot of people confuse like the physical state of being alone versus the feeling of loneliness. I feel like those are two very different things. When someone's alone, just as a state, as like a physical state of being, that's just when you're by yourself, when it's just you in a room or wherever you happen to find yourself, right? But that feeling of loneliness isn't dependent on you actually being alone. I feel like there are a lot of ways to feel lonely. People always talk about, like feeling lonely in a group of people, that kind of thing. And I really feel like that feeling of loneliness actually is coming from a place of feeling unseen or misunderstood. It's coming from a fact that you feel as if you're like invisible even to other people, because at our root, I think everyone just wants to be seen somehow. And this thing of like how feeling unseen or misunderstood like really affecting then your way of life is very true. Like during a time when I was feeling very unseen, it did really feel like everything was very glum, everything was gloomy. In a room full of people, you just feel like you're like this thing that has no impact. I feel like it also then ties with like this very human fear of not being impactful. Even though there are many ways to be impactful, even things don't have to be huge to be impactful, which is kind of contradictory, but I don't know. So I feel like then that feeling of loneliness then gives birth to this like mindset of pessimism and self-hatred, which isn't a good path to go down. But I feel like unfortunately that's kind of like a very common thing. A lot of people go through this like self-loathing phase, and then you either like sort of hit a point where you're like, okay, I need to start being nicer to myself, or you stay in it. You just get better at like not acknowledging it to yourself, because human beings are very good at lying to themselves. We're very good at lying to ourselves. But yeah, so I think the way to then like combat this feeling of like loneliness is with your like mindset or how you approach it, because most things are what you make of them. If you can change your approach to something, there's not much you can control, but if you can control how you approach certain things, right? So if you can change how you approach something, then that can really change the thing itself, Instead of looking at being alone or being unseen by others as a bad thing, you can use it as a way to like appreciate your solitude. Because appreciating one's solitude is very important, and not like in an alpha male or sigma wolf yada yada way. No, like being able to appreciate yourself. How do you know that you like something? Like how you like something is if you put time into it, if you make the effort to understand it and learn all of its like little like quirks and stuff, right? So I feel like that's a reason why a lot of people don't even like themselves, because you don't know yourself really. Like, when is the last time you actually spent time with yourself? Like, if somebody asked you, who are you, like, genuinely, genuinely, would you be able to answer like that kind of thing, you know? So how can you like yourself if you don't even know them? That kind of thing. So I feel like appreciating solitude and looking at solitude as a way to get to know yourself, spending time with yourself. Like, there's this one quote that I really like, and I'll find it and insert a picture of it. It was like, if I don't define myself for myself, I'll be like morphed into other people's views of me, that kind of thing, right? Like, it's important that you have a solid foundation, and if you've never had a foundation before, then it's a perfect time to build one. It's never too late to get to know yourself, you know, because through anything, through thick, through thin, no matter how mean you are to yourself, no matter how you feel about yourself, you are the one thing that will always be there for yourself. You're always there for yourself, whether you like it or not. So, you know, it's never too late to get to know them and to take the time to get to know them. So even me myself, like, spending a lot of time alone and also learning to like my solitude was, I realized that I'd reached a point where I preferred my own company when, instead of like forcing myself through this feeling of being unseen for the sake of not looking alone, quote unquote, when I would just rather be by myself, I entered a period of time where I was spending a lot of time physically alone and in my own solitude, because I wasn't putting myself around people where I felt unseen anymore. And that was really a turning point for me. That was when I was like, you know, being alone isn't the end of the world. Actually, it's not a death sentence. Like being alone, it isn't like, oh no, that means I'm XYZ, that means I'm unlovable, yada yada. No. There's this YouTuber I really like, and she always says, like, the love that, like, you deserve exists because you exist. And I think that's such a beautiful quote. Like, literally, even if you find it in no one else, it's there in yourself, and that's the most important part. Like, being able to like yourself and being able to trust yourself, you know. I feel like a lot of times we don't trust ourselves. But obviously, like, it's all well and good to appreciate, like, your solitude and everything. And if you can reach a point where it's something that, like, you can enjoy, then that's good. Like, I'm not saying that, oh, abandon all else and stay by yourself, yada yada. No, that's not what I'm saying, because human beings are social creatures. But my thing is, like, you shouldn't need people, you should want them, you know? If you find yourself needing something, then depending on what it is, that can be like a bad thing. If you need other people to feel stable, if you need other people to feel like, okay, I'm worthy of something, then that's not great. Then it's time to sort of look inward and be like, okay, how can I once again sort of make a new foundation for how I receive validation or how I feel loved or something like that, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah. But I also am someone who really, while I do enjoy my solitude, I also do really like the company of other people, you know. But I've realized learning to love my solitude has been me also learning to, like, give myself what I deserve. So as much as I love the company of other people, I'm very particular about what company I'm keeping, you know, and how it makes me feel and what kind of person it makes me. Because I don't know if anyone else has ever experienced this, but like, if you hang around certain people, you find yourself acting a certain way, you know. If it's like people who are a bit more mean, you find yourself slowly becoming more and more of a mean person in order to, like, you know, feel that camaraderie. And I was in a situation like that, and I really didn't like the person that I was around certain people. Not that they were horrible people or anything like that. There's just little stuff like that where I'd feel like kind of icky or uncomfortable after hanging out with them. Really, just listen to yourself. Like, your intuition tells you when something isn't great. You'll know deep down, if you're honest with yourself, whether or not something is it or not. Like, you'll know. So being particular about the company you keep, you know, and also being aware of what kind of person you are. How do you come to the table, you know? how do you present yourself to other people? What kind of person are you in public versus when you're alone? Trying to sort of, be more genuine, I suppose. Not masking as much. And I mean like masking in a social sense, not in a neurodivergent sense. Though that can also apply as well. A lot of neurodivergent people, me included, feel the need to mask to make others uncomfortable. To make others like comfortable. Like me personally, like I have like a stutter, so I always find myself masking to try and hide it because I'm like, I don't want to waste people's time or make people uncomfortable. But it's like, see, now that's kind of like, that's counterproductive to this thing of like valuing yourself. So it's a learning curve. It's a learning thing every day. You learn to sort of live with yourself and everything like that. But giving yourself grace is the most important part. It's important to hold yourself to things, obviously. You can't just like let everything slide with yourself, then you have no backbone. But it's important to also be gentle with yourself, Don't hold yourself to like outrageous standards and be like, why aren't you being perfect every single second of the day? Because that's not possible for most people anyhow. But yeah, anyways, that was just my little ramble. I hope you guys enjoyed the speed paint and all that. That was just me, And it's so funny because last week's video was so goofy and stupid. And it made me laugh so hard. And now I'm talking about actually something a little bit serious. But anyways, that's just me, I guess. So if you liked it, then feel free to like it, and don't forget to comment and subscribe and turn on notifications to keep up with me. If you like my content and you want to see more of me, I think my channel's pretty great, but that's just me. I don't know, but if you agree, then subscribe. Oh my god. Anyways, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and once again, I hope anyone who is kind of struggling with feeling lonely felt comforted by this, knowing that you're never alone. There's a lot of people going through it, so wherever you are feeling lonely, know that I'm feeling lonely with you. So yeah, bye, and I'll see you guys next week.